All right. Welcome to this week's What the Heck. How
Hello,
y'all
hello.
doing? What's up? DJ Major. Is it DJ Major or DJ MJR? Like how I don't know. Whatever you say, I will say. We have bar talk today, and we got a lot of stuff to go over and talk about. We're gonna start with sample timber. Three sick videos, very different. It's just the letters DJMJR. Cool. Um, Perfect. Uh, let's do super fast intros. Who you are
All right.
and what's one cool performance trick? Starting with
Um,
you.
so my name's Bartok. I'm a synthwave artist. Um, and one cool performance trick. Um, oh boy.
I know I should have
Uh,
thought of the
uh,
answer to this myself before I asked the question because I'm like in the same boat. I'm like, take your time, Bartok. I don't.
well,
Uh,
ew, I just got entangled. There we go. Or tangled. Um, yeah. Well, I started thinking about it, trying to give you my answer, but none of them are pretty cool. So they all kind of seem lame in
all right,
comparison.
let's
So
rephrase
one,
it.
all right, I'll tell
What's
you one thing
one
that I really like to
lame?
do. Yeah. It's just a joystick, joystick into CV of anything. Um, and I have the Bafaco joystick,
Mhm.
which is just pretty basic. There's X and Y um, inputs and outputs, and then you can control the range of CV that you're sending into something. So that's like my number one trick.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I know some folks really like those joysticks, which makes me all the more curious. Like, I actually want to make like mostly what I have is designed to be pretty self-contained, and like I do want to make like a small skiff, which we could have like a joystick or something that's more just fun to route into things randomly. I
Right.
know Get Still, Bill, is so into joysticks. They have four, which I think like on the surface sounds nuts because you only have two hands, but like I don't know, you could use multiple, like your whole arm maybe if they're all next to each other or something. But like I think when they're controlling different things, it's pretty rad. Like you get a pretty expressive um, tool there. So that's a pretty pro tip.
Yeah, and you could use a little skiff, tiny. This is
Yeah,
3D printed.
yeah, yeah. That with four of those would be sick, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's kind of like there's one that I've always wanted to try. I just couldn't justify the price on it, which is crazy because you look at stuff back here and it's more expensive. But it's the I think it's expressive or expressive
Mhm.
CV control. Have you ever seen that
Is it
device?
like the E Touche or one of their
Yeah,
type
yeah, yeah, yeah.
things? Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a little oval device, but it
yeah.
has XYZ, and it's also pressure sensitive, and depending on where you press it to. It's really cool. I got to play with one time. Um, but I guess I like the idea of having some form of my interaction to make it a little more to add variance instead of setting it with a module here that's just going to always do the same thing,
Yeah,
even though I can tweak it a little bit. But so that's my performance tricks, just to make it a little more performative.
that's pretty cool. The E2 share, like whatever their name of their thing is, it is like one of the first like truly I think 3D interfaces I've seen because that depth is really cool. Like a lot of I went down the like joystick purchasing rabbit hole
Hmm.
on like Mouser and Tata and all that, and all of the like 3D or 4D like joysticks are kind of lame in my opinion because typically they'll have like an XY what you expect right with a joystick.
Right.
um, and the third and fourth dimension are either a rotation, which is kind of weird and hard, um, or just a button. They count that as one dimension, and I'm like, I don't know if the button counts.
Right.
um, that's just a button on a joystick. Um, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll do a similar tip. Like instead of a joystick, I do have some like expressive things that I like to modulate stuff. In this case, I had the module is called Microcosmos, but it's essentially a clone of a microphony scaled up for Cosmo. So it's essentially just an amplifier. Like it's got an input and an output and a piezo hot glued to the panel, and the panel's got the scratchy part on the front, so you can use that, tap it, use that as a trigger or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Um, but in this particular build, the design of it has like a circular pattern around where you scratch, and in the middle of that is a like a M3 bolt to attach the help attach the PCB on the back, the actual component PCB. And I realized that hole perfectly fits without modification door stopper. So
Oh,
I think Simon the Magpie had just come out with a video recently, and I was like, oh, I can just do that. Um, and one of the first things I did with this was plug it into the CV input on the Rample with controlling pitch. And let me tell you, that thing for mangling pitch or using it somewhat like a joystick for bass lines, like you have to constantly do it, but with bass lines you get like serious wub sounds if you have that going through, like modulating your filter, not necessarily doing the like sproy thing with the bass
right.
lines, but like just moving it, you get enough sound there, you get like pretty organic like dubstep sounds, like which are pretty cool. um but the actual sample mangling, I just like whack the thing and it instantly glitches out in a nice digital not bit crushy, but like totally destroys the sample in a good way.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Um, so that's like one thing I like. I mean, I think it's fun to have these physical interfaces that are less than perfect.
Mhm.
Joystick is a good example. Any of the touchpad type things, those are cool. So yeah, get that stuff. Or just like make your own. Like there's not a lot to them sometimes. Like a piezo can do a lot. I've seen a lot of folks use piezos and like put them on the backside of like wooden panels for tapping around, or like they have a bunch of springs mounted on that they could hit at different times, and like you can use it for audio or CV. So like those are some good like low effort projects.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
making piezo stuff is really, really simple. I've got this like little pickup that I did with just a tin can that was around the house and it fit perfect.
yeah,
And then just solder onto the wire and then a connector to it, and there you go.
done.
And yeah, you can buy like a pack of 50 for a couple bucks on Amazon or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like nothing. So like on mine, like the actual piezos I got were slightly bigger than the microphony panel, and I was like, well, can I cut a piezo? Let's find out, because like there's
Yep.
50 of them right here. Yeah, you can is the answer. So yeah, that's the intro.
All right.
So yeah, like DJ MJR said, 70 the top 10 cool performance tricks that will change your music forever. Yeah, that'll be the title. All right, let's get into sample temper.
Okay.
um, just a second. Got to do the share screen thingy. So sample timbre wasn't. I think it's hard to do samples. Like I think everybody loves samples because what you can get out of them is oftentimes pretty dang cool. Um, but there's a lot of setup to it. Like you do have to like chop the samples and add them to your thing. There's some exceptions, like if you have like a morphogene lying around or something like that, that can uh, allow you to easily sample into it. That's a different story. But even then, there's some tricks to that. So um, yeah, there was just fewer than I hoped, but that's okay. they're all high quality and they're all pretty different. And nobody used the amen break, not one amen break in sample timbre, which means we could do like breakuary, February, I don't know, March break,
Breakthrough.
spring break. Yeah. Um,
And I think
yeah,
too, like the idea of doing something with samples sounds really fun, but like you said, like once you start getting into how to do it, then it gets a little complicated. So
it does.
no,
I mean, those of you with NPCs and stuff, it should be like,
right,
fine. But um, it's also like kind of a busy time of year, so no worries. Let's do it. So, can y'all see? Yeah, I can just look at this. What am I doing? The background's wrong. I should say, uh, what the Modular. There we go. Anyway, all right, let's do it. The first one is Alien Signal, aka Ising, and I want to start at around 30 seconds. It's one of those that they hit real early and waited for folks to show up, and then got to it. So let me know if the audio needs to go up or down. Y'all are like, I'll be your digital voice assistant. I'll be your Alexa or Siri or whatever. Just tell me if it needs to go louder or quieter. It's like Church of Modular. So good. That's something I need to do more of, like, is come in with more subtle drums. Like, these are just, like, the lightest touch possible to come in with drums. It's so good. All right, I'm gonna skip ahead just a little bit. Yeah, the other day, Alien Signal was saying that they think all of their stuff sounds the same, and I got a hard disagree here. This is rad. All right, that's a good place to go to the next one. We're gonna skip this DJ MJR one because they asked me to play a different video, which we'll come back to in just a second. But since this window is shared, we'll go straight to Ben Brown. Let's see. What time do we started at? 1:20. Okay. Somewhere around here. Our talk, I can't tell if you're just really still or if the camera froze. I also can't hear you if you're talking. Oh, okay.
Am I back?
Yeah, choppy video, but looks like you're back. This is like such a good lead. Also a super nice bass, like almost sine wavy.
Do we know what the sample was on this one?
I could not say. My best guess is it's chops of the drums, or maybe even just the chord sample.
The chord sample, yeah.
Okay, so now I'm starting to think that a lot of this stuff is going into some sort of mangler, so sort of sampling. Hey, Forrestine. Yeah. This is sick, Ben and Brown. Like, definitely gonna party to this one. I love that bass line too. Super simple, but imagine if you're on a phone, the bass is completely silent. All right, let's jump on over to DJ MJR. Okay, so this is where I don't think I've seen this rig before, and I have questions. First of all, the placement of that SQ10 is pretty sick. And second, what's that light bulb module going? What's going on with the light bulb in the middle?
Right. I was gonna say this is the birthday stream. I thought the same thing.
Yeah. So it's a good thing that DJ MJR took off right as soon as we hit play, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll get answers later. Like, it's a really cool looking module. Like, there's a couple that have really nice lights. There's like a nice incandescent light up in the top, middle. Some good stuff going on. I don't even know what some of these are. The light bulb is a USB stick? What? Oh, so it's one of those modules that just has like USB ports? Is that what I'm looking at? Oh, it's got samples on it. That's so cool.
That's really cool.
That is sick. Yeah, and there is this. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and it just probably flashes as it's being read.
Yeah, exactly. It's doing the read write flash thing.
Right.
That's so cool. All right, we get to speculate about what the sample is. I will skip to around 10 minutes in eventually, and the marquee scrolling across the top will tell us some of the patch details. I love that little squibbly accent sound. I have no idea what the actual sample is, though.
What's on the thumb drive?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if lights coming from the. I'm like trying to follow the wires coming from the thumb drive module and see if there's any lights flashing in sync.
Yeah.
I
So there, it seems like there's an orange one and a red one, and the red comes down and maybe to the panel with the blue LEDs.
maybe I sort of lose it because it kind of it twirls around there. Could also be the one that no, I think the panel with the blue LEDs is a different cable. All right, let's skip ahead a little bit. All right. There's a bag of beans hitting against my belly for the bass, etc. Oh, that must be the sample. Wait, what's the Tesseract low coast? You can try turning your video settings down and maybe that'll help a little bit. Sorry. Breaking that.
So the Tesseract low coast is a radio, MP3 player, external input, and USB.
Oh, that must be the light bulb module.
The light bulb, yeah. Yeah, so it has maybe it picks up radio. There's a volume scan and mode button
yeah.
on it. It also has an aux port. You can put some line level in, put some
cool.
modular level out.
I love the airplane sample somewhere in here. Couldn't tell you which one it is, but maybe that sort of mid bassy line. It says music speakers on it. Alright, I'm loading this up. I want to see what this thing looks like. That's so good. It straight up looks like an old car stereo. Like,
yeah.
I'm thinking most of this is samples, right? Like, based on the description, almost all of the sounds, if not all, are samples. That's pretty cool.
Or samples that are getting mangled up, yeah.
Yeah. Whoops, sorry. That was my bad. Pro tip for the future sample temper: if you want us to listen to a very specific section of song, put your description in a slow moving marquee and all right. That wraps that wraps up sample timber. Let's see, how do I stop
Yeah.
sharing?
So
There we
my
go.
my mic and video cut off during alien signals set. I really liked um, near the end. Um, I forgot what it was.
Was it like the nine, like this sort of like, I don't know if it was 909 drums, but like there was like some very recognizable drum sounds that came in towards the end. Is that the part you're talking about? I
Yeah,
can play it again.
yeah.
It's like,
Oh, so good. Do you know
let me
what that device was to the bottom left?
in Isings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the deluge. I think a lot of the samples were coming out of the deluge.
Oh, okay.
Um, I actually don't know a ton about the actual sampling flow. Like I couldn't say if it was like an easy to use sampler or not, but I know it's a very powerful sampling machine that just gets better every update. So that's pretty cool, and that's probably similar to what I would have done. I'll probably use like for sampling stuff that I can control. Like I actually do
Right.
like a separate device to do that. I don't know, weird like that. The exceptions are the rample, and that's essentially like just playing clips, and then like you could do some mangling on it, but like I'm not
Hmm.
doing extensive like modification or tuning of things or anything like that.
Yeah, that's another thing. Some of the modules where you put in a sample, then you start working on it, and I feel like that goes against what I want to be spending my time doing. Is just kind of sitting there and like tweaking to get that perfect little section of what I want, and
Mm-hmm.
um, because there was
The
a
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know how much time you spend on your samples when you're using them, or do you just grab something and whatever happens happens?
Well, I used to spend a lot of time on them before I got more familiar with like the hardest flow in sampling to me is getting the sample from a recorded device, like a device you recorded it on,
Hmm.
like chopping it to where it needs to be in terms of like that length, and then putting it onto another device in a specific format. Like that flow took me a minute to get used to. It's not particularly intuitive, and really the best software for it is still Audacity, but
Audacity, yeah.
um, you can do it like with Ableton and stuff. It's just kind of a pain. Uh, but like I with the M8, it's got a really powerful sampler, and one of the things I really wanted to do was take some of the oscilloscope music samples that I've made,
Hmm.
and well, just essentially sample them and put them onto a machine and be able to play them back. And I tried it with the Rample, and the Rample like works, but it takes up two channels to do a stereo sample versus like the M8 can just like anyway. I can put like infinitely more easily onto the M8's sampler and like modify them on there and like lo-fi them or whatever I need to do there. Like it's a pretty powerful little sampling machine. And that's something that I did a lot of when I was traveling because all I brought was the M8 and my computer. So like I had time to kill. When I'm here in this room, it's very unlikely I'm going to do any sampling because I have too much fun behind me to
Right.
want to stare at it, an editor. Um, so yeah, I think sampling is difficult, and I also am like really paranoid about like I don't know some of the a lot of the songs that have samples in them that I'm very fond of, especially around the 90s, are like straight up like jacked sounds before like the copyright infringement software got really good at what it does. So I would love to like grab some records and an MPC and like sample in some records and like do that, but like I'm not gonna be able to pay. I'm not gonna like. I don't want my videos struck down by the internet lords. Like, I feel like samples are less fun because of that. So like I can go to my garage and get like samples of like nails rattling and shit like that, but it's just not as fun for me because of those limitations.
Yeah. Yeah, which is the other hard part is when we were doing this, we were you know telling people a lot like don't sample something that can possibly get us a copyright strike.
And like
And it's
you don't ever really know what's gonna get you a strike. Like you could sample
right.
something from like the like I feel like the Library of Congress has a pretty sick sample library that you can use royalty free. But like if another artist has used that and put it on SoundCloud or whatever, like not SoundCloud, like DistroKid or one of those services that put it everywhere, all of a sudden now the copyright infringement people are looking for that sample because of their music that used it. Like, and they'll hit you when you use it. So sort of weird stuff like that. And yeah, you can fight it, but like it's just kind of a painful thing. I just want to avoid it all.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So that's
Um,
like the dark cloud of like I wish we could just remix and make cool music for stuff and yeah, but whatever. For what it's worth, if you see any songs that I make that I like on YouTube or Twitch, just like do whatever you want with it. And if you make a pop hit that makes it in the charts using that stuff, cool. Send me a synthesizer or something. Like it's fine. Um, all right, so definitely Clocktober. Frederick's off to now. Frederick's off to the pumpkin patch. I promise I'm gonna be better about like doing these month what the monthulars at the end of the month. It's been a few weeks for me. So
yeah. Well,
um,
real life happens, so
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, so this month's theme is Clocktober.
Mhm.
Um and again, with all the themes, it's a very loose suggestion. Do with that what you will. Um, if you want to just have a video of a clock being recorded while you do something, that's fine. Or if you want to just focus on only clock modules, um, it's up to you to run with the theme.
Yeah,
But
I'm not
if you
gonna tell
do
you how to like do your stuff, but like sometimes clock modules can make a sick bass line. I'm just saying. Like things like that. Like there's all sorts of like if there's a clock involved, it's fun, which means it's just about any music. Like you can just hit play on your latest track,
right,
and if it's got like a beat, you're fine.
yeah. So just tag any of your streams, I guess, with a Modular tag,
But
and
like, yeah,
we'll talk about it.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't have to be particularly overly clever or anything. Like just have some fun. If it gets you out of your normal wheelhouse, great. Hey, Iggs. Ignopolis Tron. Boson. All right. Now we're back to because it was such a short modular. We're gonna go back into what the heck mode and just like chat modular. So if any of y'all have any topics you want to talk about or questions or anything, hit us up. Or if you just want to like correct our audio levels or something, that's cool too.
Yeah, and my internet keeps going up and down around here, so I apologize for any weirdness.
Hey,
We've been
no,
having this
no
problem
worries.
a
I actually
couple
was
days.
like, I was like, on Ising's stream, it was like almost like a reverent experience to watch it. So I didn't want to talk, and I kept looking in the corner, and you looked like really like intently listening. So I was like, well, I don't want to interrupt Bartok's listening experience, so I'm just gonna keep my app shut.
So, all right, what the heck mode? What do we
Yeah,
got?
yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know. Like, what do you have any? Do you have any? Do you have anything you want to talk about with your system or modules coming out or anything? Like, I've got plenty of stuff, but
Um, I mean, yeah, I'm trying not to buy modules because I'm full and I don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
So unless Iggs builds me a bigger case, then I'm stuck here.
Yeah. I find I'm in a similar scenario where my Eurorack case is full and I kind of want a second one. For like rando modules that just I can cycle through and sell or whatever. But my main case I pretty much like, and at this point it's sort of optimizing. So I have to like, so if a module comes out, like it has to be better than what I have and fit in the case somehow. So like I don't have a ton of gas, although I appreciate the new modules coming out. Like there's so many really cool ones. Like uh, over the last year, like between Chaos and SSF and like the Stolper Beats, which by the way, I just realized the Stolper Beats fits exactly where that tape cassette fits in my modular. So
Oh,
that's a
yeah,
problem. But
yeah.
yeah, so like there's just a ton of cool stuff and they're fun to play with. I I was actually surprised. I went to Signal Sounds when I was in Glasgow, just because like I've never been to a modular store, and it's not, yes, it's a modular store, but it's an online one, and it does have a lot of synthesizers there, but it's not really designed for people to like come in and buy stuff there. Like I purchased the module online while like on my phone while it was like the thing I bought. Um, I didn't actually buy a module, I bought a synthesizer for my partner, and like when I was there playing with their modular and all these cool modules, like I got to play Stolper Beach, which is really cool. I got to try like some modules that like I hadn't even looked up, like the Ultra Kick, which the name is accurate. It's a really nice kick, and it's got some like really cool features that I just hadn't seen before. Like it's got an envelope out, so you can just pipe that envelope out straight to your sidechain or wherever. Like pretty cool stuff like that. Um, but I wasn't like, oh, I need to rearrange my entire rack and buy these modules. It was just like, this was fun.
Right, right. I, gue- I guess I am kind of working on finishing this, my little mini Bafaco system.
Yeah,
So
that's rad.
um, I'm waiting on more kits to come in for the even VCO because I want to have two even VCOs. Um, and then I want to get the expander for the muck slicer and basically have a little sequence running some VCOs and then um, some sort of either wave folding or filtering, but that's it. Um,
I love that little system, A, because it's like a really solid little system. It's themed. The color scheme, like in Bafaco, are like it's got white cables. It's got a red and black case. Like it looks like Bafaco made it. Like it's cool. Um,
I've always liked Bafaco's aesthetics, and I don't like the idea of making a case of strictly one vendor. But since it's DIY, I've always liked the idea of having just like a Bafaco little setup.
mhm.
Um, and then so one day I was just kind of playing on VCV Rack, and I was like, I wonder what I could do with because I owned the muck slicer and the Percol. And it's like, what can I do with the even VCO? And then of course it's VCV Rack, so it's easy just to add another one.
Yeah.
Um, but like putting those two together was just really fun. Um, Sending signals from one to the other, and then routing those to the Percol, and so that's when I decided, all right, I'm going to do it. And then I think Isaac the Great, he had this. He bought the plans for this,
Hmm.
um, and it's $10 to buy the plans, and there's some free ones, but this one was um, really well done, and it also has cutouts here that are 4 HP. So I
Yep.
figured that's perfect. It was perfect for um, power, and then like an output module.
Right. And that was kind of a lifesaver. Like I believe you brought that to DEF CON and you had an output module that Iggs eventually swapped out for because theirs was not working properly. But um, that was pretty cool. Like that was a pretty cool little thing.
Yeah, actually, when I took it to DEF CON, I because I didn't take this with me to
Yeah,
DEF CON. I only took the Pulsar, but I kind of had a feeling like maybe I need to have my like a little mixer for for all of us. So I took, just in case, I took out the Hex Mix and the Hex Pander and put those in that little case. So it also at that point turned into like a nice little Eurorack mixer as a standalone skiff, which worked out.
that's really cool. That's a smart like that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about is a skiff around that size, form factor for just like making little mini things. Like I don't want to rearrange my big case like well really ever because it sucks. But
Yeah,
um because like that does what I want. Like it's purpose built. I'm cool with like weird little ones that I can do like 3 module challenges or just like random like little things here and there, or like bring it to an event or whatever. Like things like that would be pretty cool. So um, and it's extremely portable.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, if anybody wants it 3D printed, let me know. The licensing says I can't sell the, I can't charge people for this, so I would just charge you for the filament used. But if anybody's interested, let me know.
I may commission you to make a few things. Not necessarily like again paying for the case, but I don't have a 3D printer, so like the things that I want add up over time. So I may
Yeah,
just send some requests over and see if you want to do it or not. Um,
yeah,
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because that feels like something I would get lost in, and you would just wouldn't see me for months because I'm like in uh, CAD or whatever software making 3D printable things.
right.
Um,
It never
so
ends.
right, like it just yeah. So I'm sort of avoiding that purposefully. Um, there's just some things I have to avoid for lack of self control. Like when I was at Signal Sounds, they had the uh, just a second, trying to remember the name. The Udo Super 6 desktop module, and the thing looks like the aesthetic straight out of the Millennium Falcon or something. Like I've never seen a synthesizer that looked this good in person. Like it physically felt like I was looking at a 3D render. It was ridiculously cool looking. I've still not touched it. I mean, beyond like moving a slider or two. I've not like played with it powered on, and I've not watched any videos because it's really expensive. And I really like I don't know. I just it's an object of joy to look at. So like that's something I avoided, just like a 3D printer.
Yeah. What's it called?
um, the Udo Super 6. Let me just pull up a video. I mean, not a video, a photo of it. Share screen, crown tab, Super 6. And we'll find a nice image.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, specifically, let's go. Maybe at top. Yeah, this thing. That's not even like the greatest photo. Like this might be better. Um, yeah, this thing is like incredible looking. It looks like this in person. Like this isn't or probably isn't a render. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell because in person it looked like a render, but um, it's a pretty amazing looking synthesizer. So good job, Udo. Um, all right. Did y'all see that? I don't know if I hit go on that. I think so. Anyway, yeah, it's really good. Uh, let's see what else. I have done some case rearranging. I've been constant like you've seen me like complaining about submixing drums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I don't know, like I don't know how many people have like more than a handful of drums. I think I have like 7 to 8 inputs, which isn't really that many considering two of those are from like one module, that kind of thing. But that are all drum sounds, and you got to mix them together. But like the thing about the drum sounds is like I'm not usually messing with the levels hardly at all. Like the only level I occasionally mess with really is the snare, because sometimes you want the snare to be like extra punchy or whatever, but it's not something I'm playing with like during a performance ever. So like I was looking at really ultra dense, like what's the densest like 8 input or more submixer, right? And Bartok, like I made a joke like, what about a bunch of 2 HP? And Bartok was like, well, you would definitely want to have the output of at least 3 or 4 of those going into the inputs of one, because then you'd have 4 columns like fully. And I was like, oh, that's super smart. So on like 10 HP, you would essentially have 12 inputs, which is ridiculous. It's
Right.
it's five 2 HP mixes, and it looks so bad in a good way. Like it just looks absolutely nightmarish to use. Um, but it was smart, and it's like it would like they're like $100 I think new or something like that. They're not the most expensive module, but the thing that I keep coming back to is like what that many 2 HP modules in close proximity look like in terms of ribbon cables behind them. Like when the
Well,
boards start prying
yeah.
apart. Like
What I did for that, because a lot of my 2 HP modules, I just made my own cable with two,
yeah,
like 2 or 3 headers on one. And so
yeah.
when I take those out, I actually have to take like all two out together, all three out together.
Right, and that's exactly what I did when I was using like when I use the cat and stuff. You just put
Yeah, yeah,
extra
yeah.
headers on it, and it works. Just make sure they're all the right way around. Um, Not much to it, but yeah, I was like with this little bit of tension, just slowly add up, because they're like this close
They're right
together,
next to
right?
each other. Yeah,
So like maybe I need to measure and just like make a cable with these closer together or something. I don't know. That
that's
was
what I
my
did.
first thought, was like, will it break?
Yeah,
But
on mine, I don't have the bend on it.
it's just
I
straight, just measured. Yeah.
just yeah.
Like if there's a little bit, that's fine. But yeah. Because there is some play. Like the module's pretty much, well, actually, I have that exact module here somewhere. Cat. Oh, I think I did. I might have traded it. Anyway, uh, oh, there it is. I'm seeing a lot of, yeah. So this is the module in question. It is not
Hmm.
in my case for um, 1 HP reasons, but and it's also like kind of hard to use. Like I was using it for synth stuff, and like these are really close together, so like actually using it beyond just like subtle tweaks would be somewhat difficult for me. But I think
Right.
in a drum submixer it could work. It's just like not something I necessarily want to commit to. But anyway, I did a
Yeah.
case rearrange just to get ready for some like I'm really excited about some of the new WMD modules. So I
Oh,
just
those
got
three.
everything ready. Yeah. Um, yeah, the
Do you,
Legion, the Subway, and the Orion.
do you know when
And
those are gonna ship?
I know they're working on it. I don't know
Okay.
when. I talked to, well, I want to come back to this in a second, but yeah. So I don't know where they're going to ship. Orion is a phaser, if I remember right, but it's a bit more than that. It's got wave folding and stuff like that, I think. Um, that was actually a module I was looking for, because I really like the sound of phasers, right? Like I didn't want to get a guitar pedal phaser. I wanted just like a
Right.
super slim one. And they were like, oh yeah, Orion. I was like, bye. Like 4 HP, it's perfect. Um, and then they had the Legion in the Subway, and the Legion looked like an intense oscillator. I hope I like it. I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely like one of the more interesting ones in terms of the number of outputs it can do and like some of the crazy FM possibilities there. But the subway was a module, the first module in a long time I've seen that I didn't know I needed until I saw it. Like, like it's an eight up to an 8 channel crossfader. So like think like a DJ crossfader that does between two, but it scrolls through eight and it seamlessly mixes from one to the next. So you could put like a square wave and a sine wave in there and like sort of get in between those. Like it's not morphing the waves, it's just like blending them, like mixing them. But it's really cool. Like it's a one way to achieve like really fast waveform mangling. Like one of the other things I was looking at before that came out was a combination of a sequential switch and the 0 2 module, which is a really thin module, and that combination allows you to switch waveforms rapidly, so like at audio rate, or like pretty dang fast. But what the 0 2 does is prevent the switch until there's a zero crossing between the two waves, so that
Mm-hmm.
way there's no extra clicks and things like that. And this prevents that because you're just like crossfading a bunch like really fast. So that's it's not quite the same, probably not as clean, but I think it'll do the trick for what I want. And it can be used for all sorts of cool stuff. So I don't know, like it removes the need for several switches and things that I'm using currently. Like I have a switch between the in one voice I have two filters with a switch between those. So one of them is the MS or the MA35 filter, and the other one is the uh, Trash Master, and I have a switch to go between those.
Okay.
And before
Yeah.
I had set up where I could do like turn them both on at the same time. This would allow me to do one, the other, or turn them both on pretty
Or
quickly
both.
with a knob. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool module. Anyway, but the case rearrange is kind of fun. It just reminds me of like I watched um what was that Tim Allen show that was around like where he goes like a lot.
Home
Anyway,
improvement.
yeah, Home Improvement. When I was like a kid, and like I don't think it's a good show anymore, right? Like don't go watch it, but and I'm not particularly fond of that actor anymore. But things change. But one of the things that I always thought was cool is like he's often like working on his car, and like it's kind of fun to rearrange your case because like I take it off of the wall and like I set it on a stand and it feels like I'm working on a car because like you got your screwdrivers and stuff out and you're pulling things out, like you got your tools and you're
Right.
moving stuff around and you're like getting into it, like pulling out, like it has a similar vibe, so it is kind of like
Right.
zen, but it's also
You're trying to figure
trying.
out why something's leaking when it shouldn't be leaking.
Yeah, stuff like that. I also like, oh, I want to talk about that. But do folks mind if we keep going? Like, do you have any place to be in the near future? Do we have a hard cutoff time?
No. No, we're
All
good.
right. So just back to WMD real quick. Over on Tuesday, I played Freak Boutique for the first time in person, like actually at the venue.
Yeah, how did that go?
And well, I brought just Tiny Cosmo over there
Okay.
and the Hay Pack. So the setup was essentially like two power cables, two MIDI cables, and the audio out. That was pretty cool. It went well. I had been drinking, so obviously I missed a lot of cues and things like that, but hopefully folks didn't mind too much. Like I had fun. I got to meet a lot of people, but like I was also a little bit starstruck because there's like all these folks that I'd seen online that I'm meeting in person. Like, I don't know, like I'd met David Soto or Sign Mountain briefly before, just like he was sick, so we just like swapped module. Like I paid him money, gave me a module, and I left. Like that was
Uh-huh.
the end of our interaction because he didn't want to get me sick. Um, and so I got to hang out with like him and like the Rabbit and like Memory Bell and like a bunch of Colorado folks that I'd never like hung out with, and it was really cool to see them. I got to meet some new folks, like encourage some folks, like see it all in person, see how it's goes down. And it was really fun. But William William from WMD, like the WMD, William
The W
Matheson,
of yeah.
yeah, what happened to be there, and it was really cool to like chat with him a bit. So that was cool. Anyway, that was my WMD story. Like it's cool. Like they're local people. They're like, I don't know, real rad. All very nice. All willing to help each other out. Um, yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, and
And
Colorado, I mean, they've got an amazing scene up there because not only was there Freak Boutique, but they've got a couple of other shows. I don't know if they're still doing them just because of, things kind of getting back to live in person.
they
But
are, so they do. There's a few events actually happening
mhm.
regularly. There's Freak Boutique, which happens the second Tuesday, and I knew this, and I still asked when it was happening anyway because I'm an idiot. Um, I didn't think about it. I just asked. I spoke before thinking. That problem. Uh, and then there's Patched Out, which happens once a month at Black Box, which is pretty cool. And then there's a third event that's got a bunch of folks from out of town happening. Check out the details in the Colorado Modular Synth Society Discord, or just even Modular Synth Society, Colorado Modular Synth Society website. Uh, and that one's got some really cool folks. Like that one, I'm really tempted to go down. I'm trying to currently. I signed up to play Magpie Fest, and I think it's on that day. So I'm trying to like see if I can swap days so I can go down, because I really want to see all of those folks play. And like Itai is going to be there. I don't know if they're going to bring their light setup or whatever, but like it's going to be a good one. It's got much like it's a pretty nice sound system at that one. So there's a lot of events typically happening. There's sometimes like a gear swap, which I haven't made yet, but it's hopping. Yeah. Oh, I also saw Monoscene on Freak Boutique. That was pretty cool too. And both Monoscene and Sign Mountain did, I think, rather unusual sets for what they normally do. Both had like pretty good drums. Like they got the room moving. It was great.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Um, yeah. So yeah. I don't remember what I was gonna say after that.
I was actually there for Colorado's first. Um, they in the summer they had like a big festival outdoor.
Mhm.
Um, I was scheduled to go to the second one, and then that's when everything shut down. But I don't know if they did one this year or not, or if they're gonna plan another one. But it was really cool because it was at an outdoor space, and it was just a bunch of people set up and performing all day, and um, a lot of the public kind of walking around, going like what is this? What's going on? But I got to meet Sign Mountain and a lot of the great folks over there. Really good crew.
Yeah, totally. The public is a funny comment, because at this last Freak Boutique, I'd been talking modular with modular folks for like a couple hours at this point, and someone was like, "Oh, that sounds so cool. What's that instrument he's playing in the middle? Like, or what's that? Or what was that device in the middle?" I think is what they said, and I thought they were talking about the module. So I was like, "Oh, that's the Rainmaker module." Blah 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 blah. Like. He's like, cool. And then I, like, after the conversation evolved a little bit, I was like, oh, he's talking about the whole modular. He doesn't know what the modular is. So then I broke that down a little bit. I just didn't. I again spoke before thinking.
Right.
Yeah. So it was really cool. I was really happy to go. And I got to have some beer that I hadn't had in a long time that I really missed. So that was cool.
Nice.
Um, yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. Mm, My semi modular is almost fixed, or I think it is fixed. I have to go pick it up. The Korg MS-10 that I had fixed myself, and like it worked for a while, and then it started flaking out right when I started performing with it. Um, so I took it to like an actual synth doctor,
Yeah.
and it was really funny because they're using like an IT ticketing system. So you can like watch the updates as the techs are talking to each other.
Okay.
Like, oh, I checked this, and this. This is fine. Blah blah blah. Did this, and like they go through this whole thing of like, it's all good. Like they checked a bunch of things. It's all good. They looked at my hand wired in potentiometer that I added, and they were like, this one was clearly added after the fact, but it's fine. It's the right value and everything like that. I was like, yes, I didn't make it worse. Um,
Right.
and then they're like, well, I think it's about ready to go. And then the next guy, like a different tech, hopped on and took a one last look at it right before they closed it up. Apparently, he was like, oh, this is a Japanese power supply, which I think is like 100 volt. Uh, but it uses the same plug as the US power supplies, right? So the problem with this is even though it can work and it had been working, everything was operating at higher voltage than intended, which means that components wear out faster, particularly capacitors.
Yeah.
Um, and so they actually swapped that out with a US power supply and put a new panel on the back that showed the correct voltage and everything. Like it looks really good. They did a fantastic job. So I went to go pick it up because it was done, and um, plugged it in and hit a few keys, and like the magic of it, uh, it was is so good. And like I went through and like was doing my few things, and I swapped to the square wave, and it was like dead. I was like, square wave is dead. So because it's my synth, I think I know a little better than this. So I was like, okay, well, this knob's not doing anything. It's probably has something to do with pulse width. So I grabbed a patch cable and plugged. It's got a reverse envelope out and put that into the PWM, and you get this like super fat bass when you do that. Uh, and that sounded great. So I was like, okay, oscillator's not dead. It just has something to do with that PWM knob. And so sadly I left it there for them to troubleshoot because it's a million knobs to unbutton, but they got that
Yeah.
fixed. So all good. I don't
Good.
know what the issue is, but I'll find out. I'm tipping them big. They did it above and beyond what I expected at a much more reasonable price than I ever expected. So
That's nice that you
um,
have that you can do that though. That's
yeah, that's a new thing. It's starting to open up possibilities where I'm like, oh, well, then there's those broken devices on eBay I could just get, and maybe I can fix them myself. And if not, maybe they can fix it, like that kind of stuff. And I was like,
yeah.
no, 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 shelve that thought until next year.
That's another dangerous rabbit hole to go down.
It's like not particularly close to me. It's hour and a half to 2 hours away one
Oh,
way.
okay. Okay.
Answering Christine's question. So it's
Yeah.
local-ish. Like I do have to run a bunch of errands in town this coming week, so I'll probably just go pick it up then because it's do all the things at once.
Right. Right.
But it was pretty cool, and it was like the sketchiest site with like good reviews by everybody. So like when I say sketchiest, like the name didn't inspire a ton of confidence. And so I looked it up and I was like, okay, whatever. It's like a synth repair. Who cares about the name? And I looked it up on my phone and like immediately got like that like malicious content warning on the
Oh.
website, and I was well, I'll look up somebody else, but I kept coming back to them in terms of recommendations and stuff. So I was like, well, I opened it up on my web browser and that content was gone. And I was like, okay, load it up on my phone and it's there. I'm like, okay, someone's got a line of malicious code in there to attack mobile. um, and they can't find it. So maybe we can work out a trade. Like I'll do some troubleshooting and like fix their web shit. But I don't know.
Right? I was gonna
For
say
now,
it. Yeah, they might just need some help with their website.
yeah. Let me see
They're a
if I can
sense
get
repair
this.
shop, not a web repair shop.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to get the name right. For it's Music Gear MD. If you're around Colorado, and they did a absolute great job. I don't recommend their website right now, but they did do a really good job and are extremely passionate about what they do. They showed me their shop. They have some really cool stuff in there that was like a playground. So like when we were troubleshooting that square wave thing on the guy's workbench at the time was Moog, was it Super Six or something like that? Moog Poly Six or Moog something Six, Sonic Six. It's got like it's a beautiful synthesizer with bright blue panels, sort of like the grandmother, but it's all blue. Um, Things like that you just don't see every day. It was really cool. So yeah, highly recommend visiting one at some point. Um, yeah,
Yeah, very cool.
not much else to say on that. Like, I'm just really excited for it. The MA35 filter is great, but there is just something slightly different and magical about the MS10 that I can't put my finger on for the life of me. I tried all sorts of things, and the thing sings. But the MA35 is a nice stand-in while it's gone, or when I'm like playing at a show or something. Um, yeah, like, and yeah, they do a good job, and they've got like a huge warehouse. I think they probably provide or rent or store equipment for folks. Like, I was there when I went to pick up went to pick it up. It was a Monday, which is interesting because I got like he just learned something. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, it's so crowded in here with all the instruments and stuff. We tend to get the most instruments on Mondays because it's after everyone plays their shows on the weekends." I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, it's like all the stuff you like dream about or see in museums, just like lying there, the guts out sometimes. Just really cool. Um, like I just want to hang out there and do some soldering.
Or get some tips.
Yeah, like I want to get some tips. I want to see how they're doing things. I
Yeah.
like they do have some like really nice equipment, like their power supply. Like they've got the power supplies that let them set a voltage and things like that, so they can work on equipment from Japan or Europe or wherever. So
Yeah,
all
or
sorts
find
of
out
cool
like
stuff.
what kind of solder they use. You know, if there's something unique or
Oh
different where they
yeah,
find that it works best.
yeah. Oh, I've been experimenting with solder lately too. I finally switched over to lead free solder,
Okay.
and it was fine. It's a little bit different. Like it's not as willing to go. So just turn up the
Yeah.
heat a little bit, and you're good to go. Like as that was about the extent of the takes just a tad bit longer. Like oh well. Um, because I'm trying to not poison myself is the or anyone else, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah, no,
um,
that's a good reason.
I like being alive so far. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, that's all I got. Like, I mean, there's
All
plenty
right.
of stuff we can talk about. Like, I'm excited about Clocktober. Like, I realize I actually don't have a clock module in my Tiny Cosmo, um, which is somewhat problematic because I sort of put it together with the idea that I could play standalone even without an external sequencer.
Right.
But I think I might get clever with that. Like I think I can just use. I think the oct can work as a clock, right? It's not a square wave, but I think a lot of the modules that accept clock are just looking for a specific voltage. So maybe it'll work. I don't have
Yeah.
any square wave LFOs to answer your question, Iggs. Like that was the first thing I thought of. And I looked through my LFOs, I was like, LFO, LFO, LFO. But all I have is the oct. Like I don't think there's anything else in there that's LFO. I think or oh, can't the data do a clock or LFO or something? Maybe the data can do it.
Yeah. Maybe the
Um,
data can.
but yeah, so well,
But
that might
that's
be something we could work with in a
part of the
couple
fun of the
keyboards, right?
challenge is,
Yeah,
part of is experimenting with something and seeing if it can work that way. So
yeah, learn some stuff. I mean, I know the data can do some. You can do some pitches out and things like that. So yeah, I probably can do a clock, even if it's just a really low frequency square wave.
right.
Yeah.
Or a manual clock where you're just
I That's not a bad idea. See how long of a video I can make where I'm using ears as the clock source, like just tapping ears.
yeah.
That might be really fun. Um, my finger's gonna be sore after 2 minutes, but that's what a 2 minute video. That's perfect.
right.
Um, I did have a stupid idea the other day that I'm really excited about for sample timbre. Wanted to make a sample, like an oscilloscope drawing of either my face or a face, because
Uh
something about face space just makes me smile. Yeah, that might be coming too. Um,
so FM is face modulation.
face modulation, modulate my face over the internet. All right. I think we're gonna wrap it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I gotta do some other stuff. I am probably gonna stream later today because I want to test out a thing I've been working on, which wasn't what we heard a second ago. That patch was just like I needed something for what the heck, and I'm only going to use one note, which was B flat in different octaves.
It worked. Sounded
So
great.
yeah, it was fast. It was fun. Um,
Yeah.
it helps to have some good sounds like to start out. So like if you don't have to like I think the thing that takes the longest when making a patch or something is like some of the sound design bits, and if that's already set up like near what you like, you're good to go. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
all right, thanks for watching, y'all. I will see everybody next week. Let's
Yeah. Get your
keep it going.
Clocktober patches in for Modular. Make sure you tag it so we can review it next month.
Yes.
All
And if
right.
it happens after the fact or you do a sample timbre one,
Then just call it
it's too
wrongest.
late. It's too late. All right. I
All right. Play us out.
I will try to play this out, which means like I got to switch camera, right? Audio switching. You've done super.